Hi, Omega Chaos here with another Yu-Gi-Oh! Tech profile, and this time it's a special one because I did go to Lithuanian Nationals this time because there was no Finnish Nationals this year, and of course there has not been any Estonian Nationals since 2011, and actually did pretty well. Unfortunately, I didn't get to top 8, unfortunately, because I lost in the last round. But I still am pretty happy with the result. So I decided to play with Melodious, because I think it was pretty good in the current meta. It has pretty decent matchups, stuff like that. So I guess let's go to the deck. So first and foremost, I'm using, of course, free couplet. So this card is really amazing in this deck, obviously. It has a really good pendulum effect, as well as really good monster effect as well. So definitely very good. Then I'm using free refrain, the Melodious Songstress. Pretty much very important starter for the deck, obviously. You search for any Melodious monster. And obviously works well in combination with a couplet as well. And it has the same ability in the deck that you can put itself back in the scale if you summon the Melodious Fish monster. I'm using one Chopina, pretty good as well, one of the older Melodious monsters. You can recycle your light fairies, and it can even add back your Herald Orange Light as well. Then I'm using one Elegy, the Melodious Diva, because it has an ability to protect you from being destroyed by card effects. Definitely pretty good. A lot of Melodious players are not using it, but I think it can be definitely very useful in some situations. And of course, you can summon it from the deck with your Melodious Link monster as well. Then I'm using one Aria, the Melodious Diva. Very obvious, really good. Obviously, in the past it was pretty much the best Melodious monster, and it's still really good in the deck. It just protects you from darting and from battle. But of course you have to keep in mind that it affects you as well. So you can't use your refrain pendulum effect while this card is on the field, for example. So you have to be careful with this card. Then I'm using free Soprano, the Melodious Songstress. Decided to use free in the deck because I want to use as many Melodious monsters in the deck as possible. So I could have enough fairies for Orange Light and stuff like that, and just enough ways to play the game, pretty much. And I think this card obviously is really good. Then using one Tum Tum, the Melodious Diva, which is pretty good as well, because you can search your poly, or fusion substitute in my case. I think it's definitely pretty good, I would say. Then I'm using one Canon, the Melodious Diva, because it's just an extender, it's a level 4, so I can make Baguska with it. And then the last Melodious monster in the main deck are three Sonadas, Melodious Diva, pretty good I would say. Very nice extender and gives extra attack as well. Then for some non-engine, so I'm using three Herald Orange Light. Definitely a very powerful card in this deck. It's a really good hand trap, as well as it can also stop hand traps as well in your own turn. Definitely very nice. Then of course I'm using three Ash Blossoms. Yeah, I don't think I need to explain this card. Free Effect Wailer. Obviously, still a really good hand trap, especially in the meta game right now. Then the spells and traps. So I'm using three first one solo. Obviously, really good to summon your Melodious monsters from the deck. It does have that restriction, but still really amazing. Of course, right now this card is actually really expensive, but it hasn't had a reprint for a while. So thankfully, I had this from old times. Then I'm using free Ostinato, obviously very powerful. One card combo starter, especially like a Planet Fusion, stuff like that. And it's pretty broken, because obviously it's abused as an engine. The Melodious monsters are abused as an engine in other decks. And unfortunately this card might actually get hit. But hopefully it doesn't happen. But even if it does get hit, this deck will still be kind of playable, because you don't have to always rely on it. Then I'm using one Melodious Concerto, obviously. A very good fusion spell, more or less, and also can recycle itself. get you extra draws as well. Then I'm using one Fusion Substitute as my thumb target. I think it's pretty good, obviously, and can of course get you extra draws as well. But of course, in some situations, it can be a little bit tricky. And then I'm using 2 Triple Deck Slant. Definitely a really good card, obviously. It actually helped me quite a bit in the tournament as well. Then of course I'm using that one Callwell Grave. Obviously, in some situations it's really important to stop the hand traps. And then the last cards in the main deck are 3 Infinity Permanents, of course. Now this is X deck. So of course I'm using the 3 Flowering Etoiles. The Melodious Magnificat. Definitely one of your main end board pieces. It's really good as an interruption, as well as you can dodge a lot of card effects as well with this, and also can reset your Supertas as well. All around a really amazing card, and also can float to other cards as well if it leaves the field, if it's fusion summoned. Obviously once you bring it back from that effect, it won't be fusion summoned anymore, so have to keep that in mind. Then of course we make the 3 Pakas, obviously, are your main best fusions. You can summon Melodious from the deck, if you summon it, if you spell summon it in any way, and also the effects of fusion monsters, effects cannot be negated, but of course you can still impermanence or effect violate it still, but it can be pretty useful in a lot of situations, and also floats into a Melodious monster in the graveyard as well. So all around, a really amazing card that pretty much makes this deck possible. Then I'm using one Plume Prima, the Melodious Choir, or the older Melodious Visions. I think it's pretty good, just to way to auto-carry your opponent more or less, which can attack twice with this card. Then I'm using the 2 Supertas, obviously really good. You can banish 3 cards in any graveyard as a quick effect, once while face up on the field, and also you can activate in the damage step as well, which gains 200 attack for each card banished. Definitely really good, and also you can reset it with like your Flowering Etoile as well. Then I'm using one Bloom Diva, the Melodious Choir. I think it's pretty good, but it didn't really come up in the tournament. In theory, it's really good against like Tempai, because it can't really get over it without like using like something like Samurai Destroyer. Not sure. I'm not sure if I'll keep it in, but for now, I think it's still pretty nice. Then for some links, I'm using Plume Harmonist, of course. There's some two from the deck to the link zone this card is pointing to. I think it's definitely really amazing, obviously. Not sure if I should still use one, or maybe I should add a second one. I think second one didn't really come up anyway in the tournament, I think. So yeah, I think I will just keep it that one. Then there's one Protect for the Ancient Moon. Definitely pretty good, about set on cards. So yeah. Then there's one Espil Knight. Pretty good as well, I would say. Then there's one Haggard Lizardos. I think if you want to clear the field for Ostinato, for example, or you want to clear your field from non-melodious monsters, so definitely I think it's pretty good. Then I'm using one Gravity Controller. Definitely comes up sometimes if you use Ostinato, and then the implements you, I don't have anything else, so this kind of helps you keep going. And then the last card in the next deck is one Baguska, because I think it's pretty good. And one of the combos includes this as an endboard piece, and all around it's pretty good as well if you get shifted as well. In this case, I'm showing the side deck as well. So in the side deck I used 3 Herald Purple Light, but I was kind of worried about cards like Dimensional Barrier and Skill Drain, and even stuff like Harvest Featherstorm. So I think this card actually helps against those, and against any trap decks as well, but it didn't really come up in the tournament. Then I'm using 3 Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, because I think it helps of course against Tempai and even Voiceless as well. Then it came up against Tempai quite a lot. Then I'm using 3 Dark Ruler, pretty good I would say. I did tried it in once, but it didn't really come up. And then I'm using 3 Evenly Matches as well. In theory it's pretty good. I think mostly I was already worried about like Labyrinth and stuff, but again it didn't really come up because I didn't really go up against any trap decks or anything that evenly match will be good against. And then the last card in the side deck are 3-dimensional barrier, because I was really worried about Tempai, and I was pretty much right about that, because I went up against the 3 Tempai in the tournament, and this card was really good, for sure. So this was my Melodious deck. So now I will talk a little bit about the matchups in the tournament. First round, I went up against Kastira, and they dimensional shifted me, but I was able to play through it because they didn't really have any that much engine. So in the end, I won that duel. In the second duel, they went first and did the full Kastira ward, and also had dimensional fissure as well at the end. So I lost that duel. And then in the third game, they dimensional shifted me again, but I was still able to play through it. So that was the first match I won. Then the second match was against like Mikanko pile, some sort of weird hybrid. I pretty much won that match again. It wasn't really that difficult. Don't really remember what really happened. But I guess I did lose one of the duels because they had the untargetable Hooli, so I couldn't really out it or anything like that. So they pretty much overcame me more or less. So, and then in the third round I went up against Tempai. It was against a fellow Estonian player, and it was I did win that match because I was able to keep them at bay more or less, because I didn't really have that much engine. They only had one engine in the first duel. I'm not really sure what happened in the other duels, but I managed to win that match more or less. Then we had the fourth round, which was up against Juvel, and unfortunately I completely fumbled that match. In the first game I forgot to activate the refrains affecting the extra deck, so I couldn't really do the play I wanted, and I didn't really end up with a board, and Juvel then pretty much completely destroyed me, more or less. But I think it probably would have happened anyway, even if I did not make those mistakes. And second duel, unfortunately, I wasn't able to win either, because I made some really bad fumbles in that game as well. And I pretty much ran out of Melodious monsters, more or less. And then it was the fifth round against Tempai again. I of course lost the tie roll, but when they chose me to go first, then I knew it was Tempai, and I managed to win the first duel. I don't think they had enough engine to stop to what came in, more or less. And then the second duel, I think they let me go first again, but this time I just didn't. This time they actually managed to overcame me, and then in the third duel I went to first, and this time I won. Then it was the last round, and it was Tempai again. I was able to win at the first duel, but unfortunately in the second duel I lost. Because I think they decided to go first, and they had to summon the Kokimi Drago with Hieratic Seal, and then after that I wasn't really able to put up much of a board as well, and and then in the third duel they had Shifter and Ghost Sister, because there wasn't that much time left. I called by the Shifter and heralded the Ghost Sister, made like a decent board, but they had just too much, and they actually outcame me as well. Because of the Fiat spell, they made like the level 10 Tempai Synchro, and I just had the Flowering Atoll on the field that already used its effect, because I thought that if they attacked over my Atoll, I could summon something from the next deck, and then have enough time to go to my next turn, more or less. But unfortunately, that plan did not work, because they summoned the level 10 Synchro. They put everything, my vision in the top position, and they had, of course, the Fiat spell up, so I couldn't affect it in the main phase 1, and they went to battle phase, and then the level 10 Synchro says that you can't activate any effects in the battle phase, which means I couldn't activate the floating effect, so they pretty much OTK'd me with that, so that was very unfortunate, which meant I could not get in the top 8, because then I had 2 losses. If I could win that last round, then I would have been in the top 8, but unfortunately that did not happen. But overall, I think the tournament was still very nice. Of course, it was a much better result than the last 2 years in the Finnish Nationals, and of course pretty much the same result as the 2019 Finnish Nationals. So let's see what happens next year. I guess will I go to Finnish Nationals if it takes place, or will it be in Lithuanian Nationals again? So I hope you enjoyed this Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile. For now, goodbye and Omakios. Out.